Hello, hello, hello. Hopefully you all can hear me and see me well. It's been a while since I did this, so I'm trying to make sure I got everything set up correctly. All right. Well, once again, my name is Jesse. Welcome to my page, Generations Woodcraft. It's good to see you guys. I know it's been a couple months. Last time that I was on here, I said I was going to not be so long, but life kind of gets in the way, and summer uh, ended up being a little bit longer than I thought it was going to be. So summer kind of went into basically what happens is as soon as your kids go to school, they immediately get sick. So we got a whole round of virus that went through the kids, and then me, and then my wife, and then the whole nine yards. So it was ugly all the way around, but here we are. We're on the other side of it, and I've been spending pretty much all week in the shop, which is really good because my soul needed it. It's been a while since I've been in here. So, all right, it's good to go. All right. All right. So glad you're back. Looking forward to some new content. Yes. Well, there will be some new content coming. In fact, I have it on to record this weekend. So recording doesn't really take me that much because it doesn't take me that long because, which maybe it should, but I kind of just keep going and talking. Excuse me, I have a cough. So, and then it's the making something out of that mess that I'm spewing out of my pie hole that takes the time. So hopefully by late next week I'll have a video, and then I'm hoping I'll be able to keep the uh, on off week. So video one week, live the next week, video one week, live the next week. And the reason why is because it gets really squirrely when you have videos with lives, because once you do a live, YouTube kind of just stops showing your videos. It's really weird. At least for me, it could be because, I'm not one of the big dogs, but so far, I like to do it opposite. Plus, it takes me a couple weeks to think of something to talk about, even though I love to talk, but, um, what people actually want to listen to is completely different. All right, see, we got good to go. Yes, sounds good. Here you're fine. Okay, wonderful. More hours, more than take the film. Yeah, it really is more hours editing, especially since I spend a few bucks every month to get a decent editing program, and I need that editing program because it's got all the little snazzy things in there to because I noticed that I add a bunch of words in there, and then sometimes I don't stop talking. So I'll go from one thought that's a coherent thought that I want to leave in the video, and then go to another thought that's stupid and needs to be edited out. But I go so fast that there's really no decent way to edit that unless you have a program that allows me to like do something to where you don't see my mouth move, even though there's no words coming out. So that's something that I need to do there. All right. So, welcome. I'm so glad that you are all here with me. I see a lot of the same names in there, which is always nice to know that I'll be able to see the same people every time I come on here. Uh, Now, it is glad to be back. I am glad to be back. So I kind of went over a little bit what happened. Basically, this not the virus, but a virus went through and kind of, for lack of a better word, decimated the house for a few weeks. And then me and my wife, if you're following me on Facebook, you might notice that we finally went on our honeymoon about 22 years too late. So we actually out of the country for a few days, and so that was so I actually had to get a passport. I haven't had a passport since I got out of the Marine Corps, because with the Marine Corps, all I needed was my ID. But so that was fun. Finally got to go to Jamaica and spend some time there with my wife. Came home, and then started working in the shop. Got a lot of stuff done. Couple actually got some people paying me to do some stuff. It's a couple small things, like today I fixed a drawer for somebody. Didn't take very long, but it was one of those. I think it was one of those, probably IKEA or maybe Walmart. It was a pre-assembled one. You could tell it was just stapled. So glue, brad nails. Let them know that, hey, don't yank on it too much, because it's not dovetailed, so it's going to break eventually. But that's what happens. Dovetailed furniture is going to cost you more. And then a wedding cake topper. That's interesting because it can only be 6 inches, and I broke about 4 bits on my machine trying to dial it in to where I'm not spending 24 hours cutting the thing out. And then I got some new bits from Bits and Bits. Finally, got some of those Astra coated ones. Awesome bits. Well worth the extra couple bucks for those. I've noticed that for me, the big deal is when I put the things down, I don't use on my CNC machine, on my X cover, I don't use the things that come with it. The step ups, and you're supposed to, whatever you call those things, whatever the hold downs are that comes with it. I don't use those. Because I tried to use those, but anytime you try to cut something out, thing would in there. So I use the blue tape and glue method. Go through a lot of tape, go through a lot of glue, fine, incidental cost, really in the grand scheme of things doesn't cost much. But the main issue that I have with that is that the tape gets stuck on the bit. I don't know if the Astra coat does anything or not, but it does seem to help. So I'm pretty glad about that. I got a big order I'm making for family, a bunch of letters. They're making marquee letters and opening up a business. So making the C was a pain because the angles were really odd angles, like 69.01 and 65.99. And actually, that ordeal is going to lead me to something that I had to. So I was wrong about something, and I'm going to make a video about that. And in fact, if you are watching this video, there's going to be something in my shop that you can see right now that you've never seen before. And if you've watched my old videos, you know that I actually don't really particularly like that tool. At least I didn't until I tried to do this thing. I had to have 2 different angles. I had to cut 4-inch pieces of plywood, and they had to be exact angles. And getting it set on my table saw, especially since it's a saw stop, so it only goes to the left, was a pain. So one of my tools have been replaced with another one. Now I still have the other tool. I got to find a home for it. But if you followed me long enough, watched all my videos, I'm sure you've already noticed it. But that's the hint for my next video topic. The one I'm creating this weekend is about how I was wrong and how important the tool behind me is. And it's going to be a fun video because, I've been doing this for over 2 years now. There's things I learn every day. And I was really wrong about this particular tool. I didn't think I'd use it or need it as much as I did when I'm actually trying to batch out equipment. So trying to batch out, let's see here. Wait, you can't see an angle template and use that. I did. That's one of the things that I did. I don't know why it took me a week to do that. I'm so funny that you mentioned that, but it took me a week to even think about that. I felt so stupid. I'm like, so why didn't I even do that? But it still didn't matter. This particular tool came in handy because the So it's not the CNC machine. The CNC is it's the same CNC machine. I have that. But what it is this particular tool. I just pointed out to you right there. Because what was there before was my planer. And if you've watched my videos before, you said that I have specifically said that I did not need a miter saw. I was completely wrong. And so my next video is going to be about that. It's going to be about why I needed it, what I learned, how much easier. Yeah, Brad's got it. That's exactly what it is. It's my compound sliding miter saw. I bought a brand new one, and I even upgraded it to the 12-inch one because the 10-inch one, there's no point for me. And I'm going to go into that in the video. I don't want to do the video right now. But basically, it's going to be a video about how I was wrong. I really, really, really needed one of those. Hey, everyone, that's my wife. Hello. All right. So, see, now that I know my wife is watching, I got to be careful what I say. No, I'm just kidding. So today was the first cool day that I've been out in the shop, which was really nice. In fact, I have the AC off now, which I usually do when I do live streams because you don't want to have to hear that noise. With these Rode headphones, it got a little bit easier. I could have it on, but I'm actually able to have it off now, which is really nice because it was getting so hot in my shop. It was almost unbearable. So and it actually got cooler earlier this week. And then it got hot like for 2 days in a row, like how winter has the last frost. I guess this was the last unbearable heat, I guess. But anyways, it got me to thinking. I know that my video counts, even though I haven't posted anything when it comes to actual videos in about 6 months, I think. So it's been a while. A lot of work I need to catch up on, and content will be coming out regularly. But I noticed that my views are going up. And the reason why is because I kept seeing people talking about woodworking season. Everyone goes into the shop in the winter. And being in Missouri like I am, it gets really hot. So I see that. I understand that. But man, I can't stay away from my shop for 6 months. So woodworking season. Is that, how does that guys work for you? I'm kind of curious. Mention that in the chat. Put that on the chat. Do you guys stay out of your shop during the summer? And if you do, is it because you're busy? Because work picks up? Is it because it's just too hot to even want to be out there? And then when it is time to actually get into your shop, what do you need to do? Have you already winterized before? Do you winterize after you get into your shop? So that's what we're going to talk about today. Assuming that there is a woodworking season and you haven't been in your shop for a couple months, that means you need to start preparing. Sorry, hold on. Let me fix this. All right. That means you need to start preparing. When you get into your shop, I'm assuming you haven't been in there for a couple months. So a couple things that you need to keep in mind when it comes to your tools if you haven't done so before you left in summer. Especially if you live in a humid area, make sure that before you do anything, the first thing that you do when you get into your shop is that you inspect all your tools. Now, there is great videos by Stumpy Nubs on basically any tool you can think of. And Jonathan Cat Moses has some good ones too. And I'm going to try to make some as along the way as well. But there is some great videos on how to inspect and maintain your tools every tool, right? Stumpy Nubs, I think, has a whole list of them, but he's been doing this for so long. And then Woodworking from Your Mortars has a few in there as well. And then if you're looking at hand tools, then Rob Cosman has some really good videos on how to maintain, especially sharpened blades and things like that. So Rex Kruger has some good ones as well. So keep that in mind. But when it comes to getting out in the shop, the first thing you want to do is basically winterize if you haven't done so already. Now, the main thing you got to remember when it comes to winterize is that it gets cold, of course. So when it gets cold, you got to protect your glues, you got to protect your paint thinners. So if you don't have a heater in your shop, which working through cold is easier than working through heat, I think anyways, but I'm a big dude, so I get hot easy. But keep those indoors if you don't have a heat source, or you can make a simple shelf and then put a reptile light in there or something like that I had planned on doing at first. It gets so cold here that I don't know if it worked or if I just didn't get the right kind of light, which could be the case because I don't have any reptiles. Two, you're going to want to make sure that you take off all the blades on all your machines. And you're going to want to clean off those blades. You're going to want to make sure that they bust any rust off of those if you haven't used them in a while. And then you're also going to want to take the rust off of your surfaces. So for me, that would be the table saw, now my new miter saw, and my bandsaw. For those, I use a simple vinegar. It smells in here, but it's cheap. It cleans it up pretty well. And then after that, I use 3-in-1 oil. So the 3-in-1 oil works as well. Another one that I really need to do that I haven't done in 2 years, and I can start to tell because I'm having a hard time getting my boards flat, even though they're on, is you got to clean the glues off of your clamps. So if you know if any of you have that issue with glue on your clamps, let me know how you get that stuff off of there. I'm trying everything short of alcohol to try to get that glue off of there. I thought just water would do it, but I use Type on 3 for everything, so it doesn't. um, but it's getting to the point where there's glue buildup on there, so some of the boards are just a little bit not flush, because there's glue caked up on there because I don't pay attention and I never take it off in time. So small things like that. Another thing that you're going to want to do is check your filters. Check your filters in your, if you have an overhead, what do you call it? Uh, oh, air filter, air filter system, just dust cleaner, something like that. Make sure you check the filters in that, replace them, air them out if you, or, use your thing to air them out. You're also going to want to make sure that this may not apply to you, but in my shop, I have it gets so dusty because I don't have a dust collection system yet, except for my Oneida, which works, but well as a professional grade dust collector. But make sure that you check your, if you have a shop vac, that you check those filters. Use your air compressor to bust the air out of those. Clean out your hoses. If you're like me and you double check everything, make sure that your ground wire is actually grounded. And then I also take the time to bust out air out, use my air compressor to get the dust out of my what do you call the my panel, breaker panel, because since I don't have air compressor in here, dust gets everywhere. And two, not two, but next one you want to do is make sure that your wood is stored properly. If you have any leaks, make sure there's not, like if you don't have a perfect, like mine's a shop. It's not perfect when it comes to leaks. Now, thank God I don't have any leaks coming in from the ceiling, but sometimes it will come in on the floor. So make sure everything's off of the floor, that like wood or anything like that. And then since it is winter, what happens in winter with wood. So if you are going to build anything that's going to be inside, don't forget to take that wood inside to, let's say, like I'm going to be making an end table. One of my next videos is going to be making my first piece of furniture, which I'm pretty excited about, because it's either going to be a great video because it's going to come out great, or it's going to be a great video because it's going to look like Dookie. But either way, it's going to be my first piece of actual furniture, not cabinetry, not shop furniture, actual in my house furniture going between me and my wife's rocking, well, it's a rocking recliner. So make sure that you know that if you're going to do that, you need to take that wood into whatever place, get it climate controlled before you bring it out and cut it. And then in the process of each step, if you can, bring it back into that place so that it's not sitting there, getting hot, cold, hot. You don't want it to get cold and then you take it into a hot place and then you built it in that cold climate, you take it into a neutral climate, and then all of a sudden it starts to come apart. You don't want that. I learned that the hard way with a cutting board that I took, that I made in the winter, took it downstairs into my basement, forgot to change the water in the humidifier. So it got pretty humid down in the basement. And then boom, the glue came apart on my 3D cutting board and I had to check it. And that was the only one I ever made because I only wanted to make it just to make it. So now I don't even have proof that I made it. I kind of threw it out. So I still have the 3D coasters, because for some reason, I guess it wasn't enough glue space on there. Another thing you're going to do is if you do have a big dust system, you're still going to want to make sure that you clean out the dust bag or anything like that. And definitely if you have a big dust system, make sure that's grounded. That's I know there's people that are hit or miss on that. Like there's not enough going through there. Fire's about the one thing that I worry about in my shop. So I'm extra careful on that. So, I mean, it's up to you, but I always try to make sure everything's grounded. Do a check on everything, make sure that it's working properly. So like on my saw stop, I always try to run it in bypass mode to make sure that it works in bypass mode, the whole 9 yards. So make sure that if you have, anything like that, clean out the tools. I use my air compressor. I think I did that early last week when I got back from our trip. I took the air compressor and basically got dust out of every nook and cranny of all my major tools, except for that one. It didn't take very long because I just got that one about a month ago. But so make sure that you're getting all your tools, all that dust, all that aired out. When it comes to your hand tools, you're still going to want to make sure those are dust. Well, dust free, yeah, but mainly you're going to make sure those are rust free. Um, I always sharpen my chisels, even if I haven't used them in a week, because the best way to get little tips of rust off of there. So I got a little bit of rust on my chisels while I hadn't been in the shop for a couple months. I just sharpened them, rust was gone, chisels are good. When it comes to your saws, you're going to want to make sure that all your grips are good. Same thing for your chisels, really. So if you're like me and you like to add a little bit extra grip on there, hockey tape or something like that, make sure that's on there good. You don't want that getting loose or giving you blisters. You're also going to want to use 3-in-1 oil on certain types of hand tools. You're going to want to make sure that your planes, if you have hand planes, that you busted the rust off of those hand planes. When I do that, I take them apart completely. Make sure that even those little tiny bolts and nuts and stuff like that, I make sure I put them in a plastic tub. I put a little bit of vinegar. I got into an online conversation about whether or not salt actually helps with that or not. Their argument was putting salt in there increases the risk of rust, which it does. My thing was I'm not leaving the salt on there. I'm just putting it in there for a couple hours, letting it break apart. So my recommendation is to um, figure out what works best for you and the kind you have. But I personally like vinegar, a little bit of salt, leave it in for an hour, take it out, rinse it off with water, 3-in-1 oil. You're good to go. Don't put 3-in-1 oil on. You can still put 3-in-1 oil on the blade, but I wipe it off after. Then after I do that, then I sharpen it. So I don't sharpen it and then put oil on it because that's, I think, counterproductive as far as I'm concerned, anyways. And if there's anything else, though, let's see here. Let me look and see where we are at here on this. Oh, we got a lot of comments. Okay, great. Let me go. Oh, I don't know if my wife's still on here, but someone said hi. Oh yeah, woodworking season 3. All right, I'm hardly in the shop between January to late March. Okay, so you're the opposite. You actually don't go in the shop in the wintertime. It gets cold here. It was really rough the winter. I didn't have my heater, which is one of the first videos I did was about the heater, and I've actually noticed that one was didn't get a whole lot of views at all. It's very specific. I mean, someone would need to be looking at that particular heater, but it's a great heater. In fact, I prefer to be out here in the winter because one, it's cheaper to keep it cool than keep it hot than it is to keep it cool. Two, since I'm naturally a big guy, I don't have to have it. Excuse me. I don't have to have it. I have to. It needs to be cooler. Like in the summertime, I spend more energy trying to keep it comfortable for me than in the winter where it can be cooler because big dude, facial hair. Probably won't even have a haircut in the winter, so I can. Cold doesn't bother me, so it costs a lot less. It's just more. It's just a lot more comfortable for me in the winter, but for other people, it's the other way around. All right, where are we at here? All year shop is in my shed, fully insulated, window AC in summer, kerosene in winter. Yeah, that's another one. Let me know, guys. Are you kerosene? Do you have? I contemplated putting a fire, an actual wood burning heater in here, but um, I'd have to put it in myself, and I assumed if I did, I'd probably just kill myself with carbon monoxide poisoning. So I went with. Excuse me, 1 second. Sorry about that. So I went with electric, even though electric can cost more. So are you guys kerosene, electric? Do you guys just go, bare bones and just suck it up? I guess. Let's see here. Minnesota, if I'd finally get a heater, I'd be doing most in winter. Fall is terrible because I cram all my projects in before it's too late. Yeah, I mean, fall is the most comfortable season probably for most people. Spring, not it's comfortable, but I mean, you just got through the winter, so you're gonna want to, the same things to do in spring. I am terribly sorry. I'm gonna put you on mute for 1 second here while I try to cough. Give me 1 second. It's fall. I always get the Let's get that. Okay, let's see here. Plain socks save the hand tools. Yeah, I don't have any plain socks because I haven't. I got my planes in that right there. Um, I'm gonna try to use my planes more this summer. I mean, this winter, actually, just in general. I started off, and when I first made that, really, I showed you guys that first ugly box that I made that was supposed to be mom and dad's, and I made that with mostly hand tools. Even the sanding was by hand, except for I got frustrated one day and I just used my dad's before I had to sell his industrial grizzly, planer. I used that, but other than that, everything was done by hand tools. I never even sharpened them. This is how stupid I was. So I still have them, and I use them occasionally, but I need to practice them. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. Give me one second. Okay. Tend to be busier than normal with my kids because school's out. Yep. Stay at home dad here. Oh, okay. Yeah. So when school starts, I only have my 4-year-old, so I get some shop time during the day. Yeah. Uh, Kids, I mean, that's was really what happened to me during the summer was the kids, especially with them being special needs. So it gets to the point where occasionally I'm just like, you know, there was times where I wanted to come out in the shop, but I was just so exhausted. Um, but and I come out, when it really comes down to it, and like I said, I know I talk about this sometimes like it's more, like it's more than woodworking, but when I'm not out here, my personality is affected. Because I mean, this is my place. This is, it's. I don't know if I can explain it in a certain way. Not saying that I can't be a happy person without being in the shop, but it's difficult. We'll just put it that way. I need to get hit soon. There were a few days that was too hot to work. Yeah, I mean, I think it's like I said, the heater is easier than the AC. This AC, I think I broke it really. I think I broke it because of all this dust that was going through here. It doesn't seem to be blowing as good. So, I think you might see a video next year of me switching it to 220 and getting just getting a huge AC, because if I'm going to try to make this to where I can work in my shop to make income beyond whatever few dollars YouTube gives me for ad revenue, then I need to be able to be out here during the summer, at least at night. And even here in my part of Missouri at night, it's hot, and plus it got so hot during the day that there's just residual funk in here. I bring the glue stains inside. Yeah, some people do that. I don't try to bring anything inside if I can avoid it. But if you can and you don't have to worry about someone grabbing it, that's a fantastic way to do it, especially if you don't mind just working in the cold. Yeah, WD-40 works great. I I don't know why I use 3-in-1 oil. I think I got it because I think it's what my dad had in his shop, was 3-in-1 oil. So I just followed in my dad's footsteps, and I still have a bunch of it for some reason. And think like WD-40, it lasts forever. Like duct tape, you never seem to run out. Paste wax, that's another one. Paste wax works. I like the 3-in-1 oil because the smell doesn't bother me as much as paste wax. But I do use paste wax occasionally, especially on my hand planes. Paste wax the clamps after acetone. Oh, that's what you're using. Okay, so the paste wax is for the clamps, and then acetone to clean. Okay, so I need to paste wax the clamps before I use them, and then use the acetone to clean it. So I should be able to now use the acetone to clean it, get all of the gump off of there, and then before I use them, I can put paste wax on them. So if the glue drops on it, awesome. That's good to know. Painter's tape on the bars and wax to prevent buildup. I use so much painter's tape. I got these, I got the huge clamps. But that might be an option too, the painter's tape. Take the filter outside, use the leaf blower, insert it into the filler to blow it out, wear a mask and eye protection. Yeah, I just use my pancake, but yeah, I mean, I don't have a leaf blower. I don't have a trees, but for someone who may have that, that'd be probably a lot better way to do it than just using like I have to do with the pancake, because it does take a while. And then I'm really awful about wearing my mask every time I do it. So don't do it like I do it. I keep compressed air blower at least a foot away to mitigate blowing sawdust deeper into gaps. Oh, okay. Yeah. I do think that I think it depends what kind of tip you have on it too, I would imagine. Um, for me, uh, really the only things I have to clean out are the ring filter, and for that, sometimes I have to get it pretty close to get it all cleaned out of there. And then when I bought this air filtration system, the Jet, um, the guy actually made his own filter, and the filter is completely, you just air it out and you keep going. So the only thing that I'm going to have to do soon is probably get the bags clean, because I noticed that if you touch the bags a little bit in there, the whatever the inside filter is, that it just kind of shoots the dust out the back end. So I do need to get that cleaned. What do you use to clean your saw blades? Um, I just use soap and water. I know there's a better way to do it. There's some. I've been thinking about getting some, because the only reason why I use soap and water is because after that I dry it completely, so I don't have to worry about rust or anything like that. And then, but there is specific cleaners that you can get, and I really should be doing that instead of just using the soap and water. Tay Tools, the place I get a lot of my stuff, especially stuff that's going to be used multiple times over. They have their own cleaning solution that goes, and I got my blades from there. So the same company that makes the blades makes a cleaning solution. So I'm actually going to try that out next, I think. So, but yeah, I know I shouldn't be using soap and water, but as of now, I'm using that and a little tiny toothbrush to clean them. And then I just make sure to dry it off completely. And then I put 3-in-1 oil everywhere except for the, um, actually, I just put 3 in oil everywhere except for the carbide tips, which I probably, that's why I should probably use something else. So, Dawn dish soap. I'm assuming that's for the cleaning of the thing, and maybe you can use that. I don't know. Something it's been working well for me. I don't have any rust on any of my blades, but like I said, I clean them since I woodwork all year round. Well, I want to, anyways. I clean them multiple times a year, probably every 3 months. 4 months. No, about every 3 months, I think I take it off and clean it. Thank you. Plastic brushes, the kind for kitchen bath. Yeah, you can use that. I use what I wish I had was when I was in the Marine Corps. There's a we had a brush for our M16s. It was that was perfect. I wish I had one of those. I think it's probably, if I went to a place that sold gun cleaning kits, it's probably in there, rifle cleaning kits or something like that. But what I do is I just use an old toothbrush when I got my new one, and it works just fine. All right, shorter bristles is more aggressive. Big box stores have tile grout brushes that are short and stiff. Yeah, that's why I kind of like the one that the one that I for the cleaning the rifle was perfect, because it had two different sides to it, um, and it was a short bristle side and then a little bit thicker side on it, and then it was like a toothbrush, but it was, But yeah, I like to have both if I can. I have at the dollar store, and I think I'm going to do another dollar store video. Um, they sell things for, they're basically pumice stones on one side, but on the other side they have a brush. I use one of those in here as well, and that cleans up a lot of rust on there. Not the pumice stone side that scratch it up, but the brush side that's supposed to be for your foot. And it's only $1, so if you break it, you just buy another one. It's pretty cheap. One car attached garage, so no heat or AC needed because I have a vent in my garage. That's great. That's nice. Um, I could probably have the same amount of space in my one car garage. Um, but with all the noise, I need, it works for me to be separated. But if you could be attached, that's awesome, because then you don't have to worry about, you probably, everything's already sheetrocked. You're already in there. You got the heat, you got the cold, you got the vent in there, and then you already probably got a door that go both ends, so you don't even have to go outside. And then that would be the best way to go on a budget, really. I mean, if you just had a garage you could put your shop in, or a two-car garage, and you can only put, even if you can only put it down one half, I would gladly leave my truck outside if I had a two-car garage, and then be like, okay, this is my half, and then it'd be all woodworking, and then I just put up a wall or something to where I won't, shoot sawdust over my wife's car. Insulate. Yeah, that's actually something I was talking to my wife about. I'm gonna think I'm gonna actually redo the inside of this, which I want to do. I also don't want to do, because the only reason why I would want to do it is to make it cooler in here in the summer. Um, Other than that, I mean, I know I got some exposed stuff, but other than that, I don't really mind it too much. But that's something that, getting those panels that go on the garage, that go on the, that's something that I do want to do in here. So, um, because that garage door, I mean, it's basically a piece of metal, where, if it's hot on one side, it's just, or especially in the winter, that's where the heat, it's really bad for the heat because it's cold on one side, hot on the other side, and it's just sucking that heat through there. Physics and whatnot. The DD214 weight gain helps me in the winters. Nice. So you know what I'm talking about, the DD214 weight gain. Nice. Northeast, so I need a good heat source. No insulation in my shop. Came from a super insulation garage, so so this is all new, and I don't think I like it. I can imagine. Now I don't know if you had that super insulated garage in the Northeast, but I know the Northeast is cold. Um, Probably colder than where I'm at here, um, at least nowhere. But yeah, it's it could be uncomfortable. It could be uncomfortable in the shop. Um, when I get really I find that it's easier to work with hand tools in the cold because it's so much work. It actually warms you up using those things. But um, if in that situation, I would probably recommend one of those propane heaters because you don't need to keep that cold. That's the thing is if you could bring your if you could bring your wet goods, I guess what we'll call them, glues and stuff like that, inside the house, then you don't need to keep it warm all the time unless you have a lot of wood in there. I try to keep this at a decent temperature because all my wood is in here, including the stuff that I've been drying since I made that video at the beginning of the year, which I'm going to have to be using soon. So I try to keep mine I try to keep it above 45 to 50 degrees, which for me is perfect. If I lived in a place that was 50 degrees all year round with the breeze, I'd probably still be in a tank top. I love that temperature, but um, actually, I never wore a tank top. But if you can keep your wood inside, or if you buy wood just for that location, or if you have plywood, sheet goods, something you don't need to worry about, then yeah, I mean, propane, boom, you turn it on, it heats you up quick. I have not had luck with infrared heaters at all. I had one in here the first winter I was in here. I had an infrared heater. It was just enough for my fingers not to fall off, but not enough to make me comfortable. Maybe, and it was a $150 heater. Actually, that little tiny box of an infrared heater cost about as much as that thing did, maybe a little bit less. And that thing works uh, a million times better. So in there, I would recommend one of those propane, bullet heaters, whatever they're called on the floor. Propane tank with the heater on top. Yep, it's really cold out here, so it does very little. I switched to hand tools and work indoors during winter. That's another thing. Like I could put a little shop in my when I first started. I had a little tiny corner of my basement, and that's what I was using just the hand tools. But that one still, um, because I did not know how to sharpen my tools, I was still making a huge racket in the basement. And then when you have special needs kids, you don't want to be making a racket because if they wake up, they don't want to go back to sleep. So, hoodie and a thick Carhartt. I don't own any Carhartt. I go for cheap as possible. Yeah, I think a little DT14 gain. Yeah, I know I did. Two hoodies, heavy coat, insulated pants, and it's still so cold it hurts. Yeah, I feel that one. My fingers feel that, especially with age. I don't know if I'm getting arthritis or if I'm just getting old, but the colder, even though I don't mind sitting in it, working in it can be uncomfortable, especially the fingers. Yep, there you go. No gloves when doing most woodworking things. Yeah, definitely. That's good. Don't if you're using power tools, don't wear gloves. I don't I don't want to see something happen to your fingers. Um, and that's yeah. Now if you're using hand tools, I mean, even that I wouldn't wear gloves if I was using any kind of power tool, even power hand tools. If I was using a plane, maybe, but man, you would lose the feel, I think. I don't know. I can't do anything. I don't do anything with gloves on. Even when I was in the Marine Corps and they told us to wear gloves, I tried to keep them off as much as possible. I don't like. I lose all feel of everything. The only thing I ever do with gloves is handle food when I need to, with gloves on. So yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, the fingers, I want to keep those. The CMT blade cleaner is actually pretty good. Thank you. Someone understood my gibberish. CMT is the company. Like a propane cannon here. Yeah, that's I'm the one that kind of looks like a big, just like a big, like you could pick it up and one of those. Yeah, that's what I would recommend. My dad had one of those in his shop, and he had a big 100-foot long by 40 feet wide metal building with no heat in it or air in it, and how he kept all his. Man, I wish I could have asked him some questions, because I don't know how he kept his wood. He had insulation, I think. I'm trying to remember the shop. No, he didn't. He didn't have insulation. So I think my dad just bought wood as he needed it, and then charged accordingly when he did stuff. But on the other side, he also had he was good at woodworking and at cars and motorcycles. So on the other side, he was fixing up his motorcycle. So, but anyways, he had one of those big propane heaters that sat on the floor, and he had one for each side, and that seemed to work for him. Of course, he also had that that old man strength where nothing bothers you. At least you try not to show it. Yeah, ENZ, but we need to be careful of the carbon monoxide rate. Yeah, that's that's a concern about excuse me. That's a concern about anything propane. That's why I didn't get it, because that, and I needed to keep it warmer in here all the time, and then leaving. I needed something that could be trusted on its own, which is why. And then, anyways, I wanted to practice putting in 220, and I needed a 220 for the heater, which was actually one of those. I mean, I know it seems silly, like, hey, you put in 220, but before I started working with my hands, I would do nothing. Excuse me, I'm gonna put you on mute one more time. Sorry about that. Before I started working with my hands, I wouldn't do anything by myself. I mean, I've told this story, I think, to you guys before. I tried to install a toilet and broke it because I tried to hammer at home. That's how. And I'm not a dumb dude, but sometimes I do dumb things, and that was one of them. My dad came over laughing. He had to buy us another toilet because this is when we didn't have a lot of money, and we already had spent money on a toilet, and he bought us another one and showed me how to install it. But for me, putting in 220 was a huge deal because I didn't want to touch electricity at all, because I didn't trust myself. And then with that 220 gave me the confidence to put in a gas stove in my house that didn't blow up. And then now I'm just like, okay, let's do it. I'll figure it out, And I will say this, not just because I'm on here, but YouTube. If you want to learn how to do anything on YouTube, it's on there. I mean, YouTube can be the greatest thing and the worst thing in the world. It's like, I had to tell myself, I have two different YouTube. I got one that's Generations Woodcraft, and then all of it is woodworking in the thread, all of it. So I have it down to an art. It gives me nothing. Actually, it gives me two things. It gives me woodworking, and it gives me YouTube creator content, how to make videos, how to get how to get free music and stuff like that. And then I have my personal one. Actually, I got another one too. Got my personal one that's got my name on it, and that one is where I get I keep the politics out the shop, but everything that's not woodworking is on that one. And then my third one I created when I started picking a trip for me and my wife. So I wanted to start watching travel videos, but it was short term. So I did not want that getting into any of my other videos. So YouTube could be great. I go on my Generations Woodcraft profile, and it's nothing but things I actually want to see. When I feel froggy and I want to look at some, political stuff, I go to the other, or news or anything like that, I go to the other one. I spend more time on the Generations Woodcraft one because, everything else is stupid. Torpedo heater. Thank you. That is the word. I know I could trust you guys to uh, decrypt my gibberish. I saw firsthand what happens when you wear gloves with the jointer. Ooh, guy was lucky to only lose 2 fingertips. Yeah, that's crazy. Oh man, because that's the thing with the jointer. So, I mean, hopefully he was still using a block of some sort. But I told my wife when I said when I first wanted to get into woodworking because I know that I do dumb things. I'm clumsy. I'm a smart dude who does dumb things sometimes. And I'm like, okay, so what I'm not going to do. So the first thing I said, I'm not getting any table saw until I get a saw stop because I knew that. And yeah, I've had it for, I guess it's going a year and a half. I've already done it once. I've already and barely. I mean, I saved my finger. Um, their patents up, so I have a feeling I'm making. I mean, maybe people already know this, but if they make a router that does that, they're going to be in the money again because I will buy it. If they make a router that drops down when you accidentally touch it, because that thing scares me more than anything. I mean, besides a radio arm saw, which I would never put in my shop anyways, but and I know some people love those things. So if you're one of those people who love those, I know they can be safe. Stumpy Nubs did a whole video on it can be safe, but man, that's still. I mean, uh, Norm Abrams loves that thing. I don't. It's just anything where I could just look at. Whew, no, but if they come up with a router that does the same thing, all the power to them. I'd love to see that because I will buy it. I will. I will buy it. I don't care how much it costs. I will get that. Well, I won't. Let me not say I don't care how much it costs if it's something that I can afford, I will buy it because that thing scares me. I know there's certain things you can't do it. You can't do it with the chop saw. That'll never happen. But I feel less safe. I feel more safe with that with the miter saw because I've never had anything kick back on me on that. Um, and you can kind of see it, which is why it seems weird that I have a thing against radio arm saws, but it's not that when you go down like this, because that's just chops out everything else that it does, which is just weird. That scares me. But yeah, in the jointer with I mean, that would just 2 fingers. That's crazy. Yeah, I have cracks in the garage door um, open to not get. Wait, I have a crack. I have to crack oh, not get that for with the heater. Yeah, definitely. I can imagine that. We all have those moments. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. I dwell on mine a little bit more. I think we all do silly things. Should never be ashamed of not knowing something, providing you take the appropriate steps to research and learn uh, about it after you've made this mistake. Yeah. Now the good thing about what Dad was that he was able to walk me through it. And then, man, I missed a lot of stuff with him in the shop. But what are you going to do? I believe this patent is up in 2024, but apparently they keep extending it. Oh, okay. See, I thought it was up this year. Um, I didn't know how many times they can keep expanding the patent, but uh, I would definitely, if they're not already thinking about it, that would be the next tool that they could do. It's the only other tool I can think of that you can do it with is a router, but but it would have to be specifically a table router. You can't be one that you could put in the table. Like the one I have is one that's just a regular router with the 2 handles that you can, you can hang it that way. It would have to be a specific. Maybe that's why they don't want to do it because it kind of loses functionality. But I would buy it if there was a single router. It's a table router, nothing else, because you can't be going like this and have it bump up when your finger touches it. It would have to only be able to go down. If they can make something like that, I would be all for it. Radio arm saw risk climbing towards you. That's yes. If there's a flasker, that's I think that's something that I saw. Are you still talking? I haven't hit my hour yet. My wife is making fun of me, asking me if I'm still talking. Would you rather I go in there and talk to you about stuff that you don't want to hear about? All right, so well, we already did most of the Q and A, but so uh, wow, it is 54 minutes, so I guess we're wrapping up here pretty soon. Uh, I know it's been a while. Oh, we got some new comments. Let me read those. Oh, we got 3 new comments. Let's see here. Oh, it's my wife again. Please God, no. And then, okay, bye. How often do any of you use a wood lathe in your shop? I think we, I think we talked about that on my last, excuse me, on my last live. It's something I think that if I wanted to get a lathe, it would be a mini lathe. Um, the smallest one I need to be able to do tables and chairs and things like that, just like the legs and something like that. But I don't have a lathe yet. I don't know. That's another one. It doesn't scare me, the lathe, but I feel like turning is its own thing. So, like, there's probably magazines just for turners. So I feel like it's its own discipline that I would have to learn, and I have so much to learn about this that I am not ready to pick that up to pick that up. But I know people love it. I watch some turners on YouTube. I make some fantastic stuff. I'm just crazy. Frequently, I enjoy turning. You can start, stop as needed to tend to my kids. Oh, there you go. I guess that would be a good thing, probably, because let me ask you this: Can you make? My thinking would be you could make a. Let's say you want to batch out the same the same end table, and you want to be able to turn the legs on that. Um, do they make? Can you make like a with the bandsaw cut out a like a story stick, but in a form where you just kind of, you put your chisel and you just follow the ins and outs of it. I can't really like a stencil, so then you could just get it exactly the same every time. Maybe I don't watch enough turning videos, and I should. That was probably me. I went in deep and have spent way too much, but I'm set up now. I talk about the turning. Turning is addictive. Yeah. I'm dying to get into segmented turning. I have no idea what segmented turning is. Um, I'll have to look into that. Yeah, I know that. Like I said, the people. Oh, here we go. What we got here? All right, here we go. There is an attachment called a duplicator. Okay, so perfect. That's what I was wondering. That's good. It's good to know. Norm had something like that. Worked like a key making machine. See, that's what I was thinking is one like that. So that must be the duplicator. It looks fun. Sears had a copy crafter, but never used one. There's a guy who's making videos. We're part of the same YouTube group um, about the shopsmith. I don't know if you guys remember that, but if you guys ever watched, had, or is interested in, I wish I would have took the time to get the name of the channel. I just know his handle. Anyways, there's a shopsmith which I think is really interesting because I wouldn't, I don't know, maybe I'm too snooty to get one, but I just don't see how one tool that has so many things on it can make intricate stuff, but this guy somehow pulls it off. So all the power to him. We probably can make anything out of anything. But if you guys ever want to look up Shopsmith, you'll see his videos. You don't have to know what you were doing. You just pay up and fool around and enjoy it. Like I said, I think eventually I will get one. I wish I had one because I wanted to make. I want to make knives and cheese forks. And I think it would be nice to have one of those mini lathes with one of those things where I could just, bzz, 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 boop, batch it out. And then every time I make a cheese board for someone, I could throw in a knife or something like that. Or, charge for. You could write down diameters and make a guide, mark it on a stick and rough to those diameters. Then you do the art practice part to make some parts. So you write down the diameters and a guide. Okay, so you can make your own particular guide for yours and then just duplicate it without having to. I had a love-hate relationship with my shopsmith. Took too long to change from tool to tool. That's one thing I could see. I guess that's when orders of operations comes. That's which I think might be another actual topic of my video I have coming up soon is because the same thing that led me to having to buy that I needed work on because everything I was making up until that point was for me, for my enjoyment. Now that I'm making things for other people and I'm trying to do multiple things at once, I have learned a whole lot about how to prioritize and how to, the orders of operations in my shop. So I'm not wasting time or being an idiot. So that might be another another content piece for videos coming up. But I'm still learning that. So I don't want to say something that I only know a little bit about. Well, it's been an hour. It's been fast. I want to thank you guys so much for being, and this was probably the most comment heavy one that we've had in a long time. So this is awesome. We got everyone involved. I will see you all in 2 weeks. We're going to try to do this every other. I'm kind of liking Thursday. I was doing Wednesday, but there's some competition who's got their live streams on Wednesdays as well. So you always got to think big, and I want people to. I'm thinking that before the end of next year, we'll be at 20,000 subscribers. That's my goal. Before the end of this year, I'd like to get to maybe 9. I'd like to get to 10. I really would like to get to 10, but I think I kind of blew that by not doing anything over the summer. So we're going to be aiming for 20,000 subscribers by the end of next year. And then I want to make sure I have my live streams every 2 weeks on a date that's constant. So I'm going to try to do it every Thursday. There's no other people that I subscribe to that are doing it on Thursdays, and I subscribe to a lot of people. Competition, you got to keep an eye on them. Plus, I learned so much, and then I, learn from them, and I just tell you. No, I'm just kidding. Here we go. What do we got here? Let's read the last couple comments that we have. Thank you. Well, thank you so much. Cardboard guides work too. It depends on how crazy you're going. Smooth parts are easier to copy. I would think that you would do it the same way that I make all my guides in my shop and all my things out of MDF, a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch MDF. It's inexpensive. And besides the fact that it makes a big mess, it's just easy to keep in the shop. But I guess cardboard would work too. Thanks for your time on the videos. Thank you. I appreciate that. There will be some more coming out. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. I will see you all in 2 weeks. The video will be coming out soon. And you all have a fantastic night. And hopefully when you see me again, I won't be coughing. See ya.